Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Unattached podcast. She is Teresa Hreska.
He's Ryan Stanley, and also sounds like he's introducing a circus.
And here we are at the circus of the Unattached. Welcome to episode number 13.
Lucky number 13.
The big 1-3.
Hey!
By the way, I was thinking about this on my way to work today, that
Yeah.
I wanted to give us a little bit of props. That
We're teenagers?
Well, we are officially teenagers, A, but B, just our consistency. This is 13 weeks
You know,
in a row.
that's pretty consistent.
Literally.
Wow.
Which, now that I think about it, the journal that we are about to both kind of embark on is a 13-week journey. So had we started it the same day we started our podcast, we'd be done now.
But we are done with our 13th episode, so we did start.
Yet.
Yeah.
So question, before we go into
Oh.
today's topic, what is your biggest takeaway from the past 13 weeks of doing a podcast?
There are no limits other than the limits you put on yourself. Wait, are we talking about life or the podcast?
Whatever you want.
Because I've realized how many limits I'm still putting on myself, and
Yeah.
like, as I peel them away, I'm like, I'm more free than I was? I thought I was free then.
It's like, wait a second.
But from doing a podcast, it's not difficult.
Right. Turns out,
It's-
just show up.
yeah, kind of.
Kinda
And
like
like,
life.
engage your brain.
Yeah.
It's not difficult for, it's not hard.
It's actually getting less difficult.
What did you say the other day? Oh, no, I think I said it. I don't feel like I'm being listened to.
Yeah. Well, no, I said it feels like I think each of our episodes have been getting more in flow, a little bit more comfortable. And then you said, yeah, I feel like I'm not being listened to
I'm
all the time.
so uncomfortable
I
right
know.
now.
Nervous.
What about you, other than your nerves?
I think my biggest takeaway is that, like, I feel more in flow, a little bit more comfortable. I feel like less like I'm trying to shout out information and more like I'm just enjoying the present.
Take these lessons, kid.
Yeah.
Don't take wooden nickels.
Two, it's like, if you're consistent,
Yeah.
and I knew this stuff already, but it's neat to see it. Something builds on its own.
Yeah.
Like today's August 13th,
15th.
thank you, and we've already had more downloads of our podcast this month than any other month.
Ooh.
And that includes 2 whole months of June and July.
Welcome, new friends.
Thank you very much. We're happy to have you here. So that's what I got for starters.
Welcoming us into your homes.
So thank you for your support, and thank you for listening. We'll see you next time. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wait. Okay, I'm gonna go get something to eat. I'll see you later. It's I don't really like thanking someone for their support.
No?
I mean, okay, yeah, I get it, but it's more so like, hey, thanks for sharing interests and listening to, my thought process, how that works, like this conversation, how we conversate.
But isn't
and all
that
that stuff.
support?
I guess, but is somebody really like, hey, I'm here to support you? Or is it like, hey, I'm interested in what you have to say and I want to join the conversation, and you guys, here's what I have to say.
That makes sense.
I guess it is support,
It's
but
support if you're doing that, and then also sharing it with others, maybe telling other people. I don't know.
I get it. We're just happy to have you here.
We are.
It
Thank
shouldn't.
you.
I don't know. I guess support makes me feel like you're doing work as a listener. It shouldn't
Right.
be work. Just have fun.
So today's topic,
Yes,
we took a while to figure it out. So first of all, we went to the list.
we did go to the list.
Talk about the list a little bit about. So the list is
We talk about the list a little
just
bit.
a little bit, so people know what the list is.
Okay.
The list is a shared Google Doc.
It
No,
is
a Google Keep.
shared Google Keep. Yeah, Keep.
Yep. So the
like-
Google Keep app, something that we can both see. So if I type something on it, Teresa can see it. If she's typing something on it, I can see it.
Yeah.
So it's a list that we share,
Yeah.
and we either just for months now, I think prior to the podcast, for a while.
Be like, hey man, this is something I think you'd appreciate, and it would be really cool to get your take on it.
Yeah.
And you know this. I have lists with other people.
Right.
But they like abandon the list, or it'll be like once in a blue moon, and it's like I really want this to work.
It's like, why do we even have this here if you're not going to show up and put something on the list?
There are actually 2 lists that I've written that on, and if you're listening, you know who you are because you haven't checked it.
Yet to respond.
Yeah,
list.
like so it's really cool. When you talk about consistency, that's the first thing that comes to my mind is you actually engage the list.
As often as possible.
High five.
I'll take it.
Yes.
So if I'm hanging out my day and I'm doing something crazy and a new philosophy or concept or thought comes to my mind, is something that I definitely would love Teresa's input on, I put it on the list.
Yes.
Sometimes it's just a ridiculous, silly idea that doesn't make any sense, and it would be just something to laugh at.
Oh my God, what are we just talking about? The YouTube videos on how to train raccoons?
Right.
I don't know where that came
I
from.
showed up on Sunday morning, I looked at my list, and there was a new update, and it said training raccoons, videos on YouTube for training raccoons. And let me tell you that I was excited to come to work on Tuesday to find out what the fuck that meant.
You know, and you other people without lists, you might want to think about it because it's a cool thing, and you can put multiple people on a list.
It's a great way to interact. It's a great way to avoid just group text. And here's the other thing.
Yeah.
We've got lives. We've already talked, I think, on episode 6 about not responding to texts, right?
Oh, I'm so
So
bad.
there's no pressure. Like, I don't have to get back to this today. The nice thing about the list is like, hey, it's a Saturday. This is on my mind. There's no attachment to a response.
I love it.
Except for maybe what you were just saying, like if months go by, but have some sort of buy-in on a consistent level. Whenever you look at it, to talk about it eventually
Yeah, and I'm not giving up on the list
with the others.
with anyone.
Good.
Or even myself. I have lists for myself. Like
Yeah.
I found an old grocery list, and I know that sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it was like my master
I am
list.
gonna buy those grapes if it's the last thing that I ever do.
What happened when the grape got stepped on? He let out a little wine.
Oh, wine. I
Get
knew
it?
that one was coming. Yes.
Okay, so
Thank
the
you
list is.
for not sharing that ever again.
Yeah, and the other thing, like you said, I am terrible with getting back to text messages. Pretty much everything. I'm in a bubble. We were just talking about the bubble I live in, and you have you have a wife, children, you have a whole house that you
Different
upkeep.
bubble.
Different bubbles. Yeah, so it's nice to I love how you put it, no pressure
Yeah.
list.
Like, hey, here's here when you want to talk about it. by the
Yeah,
way.
super cool.
Plus, the other neat part about the list is once you check things off, they kind of disappear off the list,
But they're still
but they're
there.
still there. And so every once in a while, I go back and say, look at all the cool shit that I've talked to Teresa about over the last 6 months.
That is pretty cool. That's how I feel about my grocery list and those grapes, Ryan.
Look at all the cool shit that I didn't buy.
Oh, or I did buy it. You know what? Whatever.
All right.
So our topic for today.
So, topic today was on the list.
Yes.
Uh,
You don't even remember what it is.
I do. It was a couple weeks ago I put it on there. And it was, so I honestly and firmly believe that we are creators. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
I honestly believe that we are, with our intentions, with our visions, with our thoughts, with our words, that we are creating a future. I know what I want that future to look like. I believe that I'm not certain of how it's going to show up that way, but I believe that it exists. The one that I've thought about and created because I put so much time and effort into it.
Or our creativity.
In the process of creating,
Okay.
sure.
Gotcha. I didn't know if this was going to be in one of our future episodes.
Perhaps. I think it's episode number 78.
Yeah.
That's-
Oh, it is 78. Gotcha. Okay.
So if that's the case, right, and I believe it to be, why do we fear? Why do emotions stop us? Why do we get particularly socially awkward? I forget where I was. Oh, I was having a conversation with a potential big client, and I was nervous and uncomfortable, and I wasn't myself, and I really didn't show up for my best self. But I had spent a long time before that preparing and envisioning the thing, and she was a very nice person, and it was a great conversation, and there was nothing bad that happened.
Yeah.
But I didn't, in hindsight, I recognized that I was literally, shaking a little bit, like kind of nervous during the conversation, like not the awesome Ryan that I could be. Mm-hmm. Right? So why? Why do we have fears? Why, if we, I guess that was my question. Like, why? Not like, oh, why do we have fears? Like from a victim mentality, but really from a curiosity standpoint. Like, how are they serving us at this point when I've gotten to X amount of years of focus on who I want to be and that I believe these things exist and this future exists? Why am I still uncomfortable?
You're looking at me like I have an answer.
Yes, go.
Okay. So, as your therapist, no, just kidding. So I think that comes from a couple things. First off, I think it's part of the human experience. So emotion tells you something.
Great.
So it's an indicator of something. And I still struggle with emotions. I used to say that I was emotionally disabled.
Right.
And then I wanted to really be emotionally aware and then emotionally honest
Yeah.
and ultimately emotionally responsible.
Ooh, I like that one.
It's true. Because when you're suddenly self-aware in these emotions and you say something and then you're like, oh, just because I feel like that and that's what I'm experiencing, that's probably going to hurt someone in some way, shape, or form. I really need to practice emotional responsibility.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
All right.
So I just listened to a thing the other day, and I really wasn't paying attention. But the thing that I got out of it, I was doing like 5 things at once, and the thing that I
You?
got out of it, yeah, it's true. The guy was talking about how to reframe your emotions. They're telling you something. They're indicators, and I thought it was really cool. One of the ones that I do remember and that I very much agree with. This guy was talking about if you experience confusion, it's because you're about to learn something.
Nice.
And I was like,
That
oh,
makes sense.
I'm confused all the time.
I'm just learning like a motherfucker.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, so what are the other things here? So I think, you know, in the situation you might be talking about, maybe you were attached to an outcome and there
Sure.
was a fear of not getting it or a fear of not showing up as the best self.
Right. And then I created that outcome.
Yeah. The other part of that, I know sometimes I get nervous because I'm judging other people, not necessarily that I'm being judged.
Yeah.
So I realize I get nervous that they'll know.
That I'm judging them secretly.
Yeah, but it's not like, ugh, that dress is hideous. It's more like your ego is preventing you from being as awesome as I know you can be.
Right.
So let's cut the shit, friend, and let's just have fun.
Just be.
But then I'm like, no, this is really their experience of life. I'm nervous that they're gonna know that I know that they're bullshitting. You know, like
Right. So what do you do in that situation?
Okay, so in my experience now, what I am actively doing is that as soon as I feel that at all, it's literally like a chopping block. Like, no. But it's not enough to say no. It's what are you going to replace it with? So Og Mandino and The Greatest Salesman in the World. You ever hear that book?
I have. I think it was on a podcast I listened to.
Yeah, and there's like 8 copies of it in my office, a couple in my car. He says, really, in the first scroll, I will form new habits and become their slave. He talks about how in order to subdue a habit, you must replace it with another habit. So in scroll 2, he talks about how I will greet this day with love in my heart, in silence and to myself. Before I address him or her, I will say, I love you. So as soon as I'm kind of like really trying to put that into practice, because, you know, I can be pretty judgmental, especially when I'm confused.
Sure.
And about to
learning.
I'm about to learn something.
Yeah.
Or I know something that other people don't know, and I'm like, you're an idiot. I'm like, oh, you just didn't read 1,000 books like me.
Right.
But you did something really cool that I have no idea about.
Yep.
As soon as I feel any inkling of that, and I'm conscious of it and aware of it, or I realize how far into it I am, I cut it off and I do the I love you. And I imagine like my words literally like the ripples of a pebble being dropped in a glass of water or in a pond, just like my words reverberating love and my heart like shooting love into that other person. Or like in Aikido, like I imagine like love oozing, like literally oozing from my hands as I touch someone or when I, you know, anything. So I cut it off and try and replace it with love.
Change it.
Yeah, I feel like I went way out in the left field and then I came back.
That's exactly what this is about.
Awesome. So pop fly and I'm just walking it in.
I love it. I was at I saw Phish a couple times
Really?
last week, and at one of the shows, the Saturday show, I was best seats I had for the whole run, and I was, you can't see me everybody, but I was like literally pumping my hands towards the band, like just throwing energy at them at different points, just because it was so much awesome, right?
Yeah.
I'm just doing this consistently. It's part of my dancing, and I'm rocking out. I'm just throwing this energy at the band, just like, you know, take it, guys. I know you're giving it, take it back. Here's more for you, like, you know.
That's so cool.
And then set break came, and my hands were the only part of my body were all hot and like you know, swollen.
Dude, there's science behind that, man. It's true.
Right? And I didn't realize
I
it
get
going
chills. Do you see those?
through. Yes. It was pretty awesome. It was pretty
That's
powerful.
awesome.
I'm not sure why I brought that up, but I think you were just because you were talking
Well,
about giving
you're
love to
throwing
somebody
energy.
else. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's this song by One Republic called "Born," and it's just like it's really poppy, but like there's just certain parts of it where he's like, "I was born," and like every moment is a totally new moment. And in yoga, you have this pose. I think it's called the goddess pose, where your hands are like your palms are outstretched, like your fingers are stretched, and you're like. How do you describe this, what I'm doing with my hands?
High 10 with wide fingers.
High 10 with wide fingers.
Yes.
Yes, and in this pose, like you start with your palms, like your elbows up and your palms facing your ear, your ears, and then you just straighten your arms upward, and it's almost like you're shooting this energy upward. So every time I hear that song, I'll be like in the shower or something, and then I do this thing with my hands. I'm like, I'm born,
Yeah.
love. Like, I feel like such a hippie, but it's the same thing, and you feel like I can feel the spaces between my fingers
Yeah.
heat up.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was doing that in the shower this morning.
Nice.
And then, you know, when you hear a song, you want to put it on repeat. So
Right.
like,
Do it again.
yeah. And then somebody calls you and you're ready to kill them.
So it sounds like there's an opportunity for
Growth.
growth in all these situations are opportunities for growth, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if we're nervous, we're uncomfortable, we're angry, whatever it is. I think I'm genuinely disappointed in myself for feeling that way. I think that's really where it came from. Like, I would like to have more control over my physical body and emotions and nervousness.
Okay.
And so I really thought I was like prepared going in. I mean, I like meditated like 20 minutes before the thing and like picturing how it was going to go and everything. And I still had this physical response.
So, I mean, it sounds like a lot.
Well, just it's not that it's a lot as much as it's just different for me. It's nothing that I really experience often. So really, I
Cool.
think that might even be the answer. It's really just about exposure.
Yeah, I guess they say, you know, getting out of your comfort zone, you building capacity,
Yeah.
you know. But I mean, like, that's a lot to meditate for 20 minutes before one person. I mean, you envisioning how it's going. Is this more the visioning thing, or is this more of an attachment?
Yeah. I don't know. The attachment is, I guess it is more of an attachment. Well, I didn't think I guess I didn't realize there was as much of attachment as there was. So I'd like to do less of that. And so maybe exposure is the answer. Maybe trying to put myself in more situations where I could be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Um,
So, how do you experience discomfort usually? Nervousness, like discomfort in the way that we're talking about.
yeah, I physically shake, even if it's just tiny. Like if I do public speaking.
Like a tremor?
Yeah. That's really it. But the more I see that and feel it, then I start to get a little bit more. It's like, oh my gosh, can they see it? Can the other person see it? Then I'm not really as present as I'd like to be.
Yeah, sure.
So I think I want to do less of that.
I'd like to do less of this weird, like, you ever watch Scrubs? There's this lawyer character. His name
Yeah,
is
nothing.
Ted.
Yeah.
And when he has to, like, do anything, he gets really sweaty.
Yeah.
And it literally looks like there's just a bucket of water thrown under each armpit.
Dripping.
And they call him SweatyTeddy.
Right.
And he's like shaking. He's like, oh, I don't know. He's like wiping his forehead with a towel. I imagine.
So less sweaty teddiness would
sweaty
definitely be a goal of mine.
Yeah. So what are the things that put you in the sweaty teddy mode? Like, what types of experiences are those?
The last time I was in a sweaty teddy, it's a very confusing time in my life.
I had to do some laundry.
I don't really want to talk about it.
We don't talk anymore.
There's some pictures out there somewhere. But no, consistently. So, but if I think about it, it really is about that I put this person on a pedestal, right? Whether I liked it or not, I saw them as greater than myself.
Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah,
That makes-
for no reason, and they were completely
Wow.
cordial and kind, and there was nothing about that. There was anything that was all me.
Ryan, I just had a moment. I'm going to
Go.
make it about me. Is that cool?
Please.
Like, that's what putting someone on a pedestal is that you think they're greater than you in one way or another. And I just had a conversation with someone who I used to do that to.
Yeah.
And I was just telling you how I basically told him, I was like, look, I used to look at you like this, and then you did this thing, and I was like, this guy's an idiot. And then I realized you're not. I just was creating a story around you,
Right.
and no one's on a pedestal.
So my expectations weren't met, causing me to
Yeah,
call
or-
you an idiot.
Yes, or the story that I believe to be true about you is not, because it's just a story, and it's the story that I made up.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. That was
There you go.
so just a way to frame something that I'm like, oh, you're on a pedestal.
Well, and then I think about it. It's like, so for instance, so
Because, well,
Go
real
ahead.
quick, because I think no one is greater than anyone.
true.
Okay, we can move on.
Greatness
Greatness?
exists in all of us.
It abounds. There's nothing greater than yourself, and everything is greater than yourself.
One of my new I am statements this year has been, my greatness is unstoppable.
Ooh,
I really like that one a lot.
that's a good one. I definitely cut you off, though. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to say, so in past experiences, it's like, so Tom Marshall,
Okay.
who is the lyricist for Phish,
Yeah.
him and I are friends. But and there's a long story how we got to be friends. I used to manage his band. But before any of that, when I first met him, I was the same way. right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember the first time, like literally, so when I was training at IPEC during my third module, Bruce Schneider, the founder of IPEC, came in, and I was nervous and uncomfortable speaking with him. I mean, yeah, this is 8 years ago.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Right, but so when I look at these different experiences, people who I thought were on some sort of a level, right, based on my distant admiration for them for things that they've done or whatever it is.
Sure.
But now that I've gotten to know them as people, I took Bruce to his first Phish concert, 2 weeks ago.
It was just super cool.
And I go to, I've had dinner with Tom. I mean, we are friends all the time. I saw him, so I text him regularly. So it's like now there's nothing to be nervous about. So how can I use that information possibly in the future as well?
Well, I have a question.
Please.
And Bruce is actually pretty cool. And it's funny because I didn't know anything about him.
Right.
So I remember the first time I met him, I was like, hey man, what's going on? Slap fives, what's up? I'm a hugger, give me a hug.
Yeah, bring it in for the real thing.
Yeah. And, so it's interesting because it really, like, if you think about it from different perspectives, it's all story.
Yep.
But it makes sense, right? Because I didn't really know who he was. And you knew who he was. So
Right.
based on our experiences, it makes sense.
Right.
So I'm curious, when did this switch flick for you to like, oh, they're human. That's cool. We can text and have lunch. And go to Phish shows.
Right. I think and each one is probably going to be different.
Yeah.
And that's what's important there. So thank you for asking that question.
Sure.
Because it's going to have to do with my relationship to them and how I've gotten to know them in different facets, the amount of time I've specifically spent or the particular experiences that I've had.
Ooh, Ryan,
Go.
I think you're jumping into a story here.
I'm listening. Go ahead.
What's the energy here? What was the energy that you experienced? What was like that consciousness kind of shift? What did you have to know about somebody that created a shift for you, and what was the shift?
I had to know that they were not, and I'm thinking this out loud,
Cool.
they were not judging me, probably.
Oh.
Right? That must be where it's coming from. So I don't think I ever had that thought these people are judging me, as much as if you put somebody on some sort of a pedestal, then you automatically must be below them. Right?
Ugh.
So energetically,
Ugh.
if you're automatically below them,
Uh-huh.
then you were constantly, like it or not, subconsciously or not, feeling judged by them until you recognize that you're at the same level, and then your fear of judgment decreases because you are equals,
Yeah.
socially or whatever it may be.
Or that you're just different.
Right. Thank you. So maybe not equals, but it doesn't matter because you don't need to be equal.
Well, equal as in humans and human
Right.
decency and respect. I saw it. The clock said 2:22. It was pretty cool.
Oh, actually, that wasn't even what I was pointing at, but thank you.
Oh,
Yes,
never mind.
you're correct.
And it's 8:13.
It
And oh no, it's 8:15.
Ah.
The date is 8:15. The time is 8:13.
But it's our 13th episode.
This is true. Either way, what's a really interesting thing? I mean,
So it really comes down to, instead of visioning it going well, perhaps there's an opportunity for me to say, spend time in my own awareness of my equalness, my greatness, the greatness that is within all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Take into consideration some other great people who I've met and worked with and may have felt awkward with at first until you get to know them.
This is Ryan Mofo Stanley.
That's it. This is how we roll.
What's up? So it's interesting that you and I have such different experiences, because the way that you're looking at it, what you just shared, how, this opportunity to look at yourself as an equal and all these things, the way that I look at it is you just show up. Like,
Right.
I remember, this is so high school, I remember the first day of senior year in high school, and like, it was like they're just like things that stand out to you for decades, and you're
For no
like,
apparent
why did
reason.
I do that?
Yeah.
This was like kind of that, but not really. I showed up for the first day of high school senior year, and I was just ready to be done with high school. I was already working full time, like I was just doing my own thing. High school was like I just wouldn't even show up a lot of the time.
Sure.
It was really, you read stuff and you remember it, so you
Right.
just take the
Got it
test.
down.
Yeah, I don't need to be there for everything else. Like, come on, guys, I got
Overrated.
better stuff to do. Yeah,
What was that better stuff?
other stuff, making money. I
Yeah.
managed
good.
a restaurant, waited tables. I'd like pick a job. I had it, and then I was like, oh, like I can read books. And then I took college classes senior year of high school. And I didn't have a car because my mom, we had some issues, so I didn't have even a permit or a license.
Right.
So I had the money to buy a car.
Just weren't allowed to drive.
Yeah, because I was 17 or
Yeah.
16 or 17 at the time. I was young for my grade too. So I would take these college classes up at the community college, but I didn't have a car to get there. So I convinced another girl that she should really do it. So I would hitch a ride with her, and if I didn't, I was dating a guy at the time who had a car, and I'd be like, oh, your job's like halfway between, and if you like go to work early by 10 minutes, I can catch this bus.
Get to see me in my cute waitress skirt. Oh, no, that's not work. That's college.
No, and I definitely wore pants.
Oh, sorry.
Waiting tables, if you're ever going to wait tables, never wear a skirt. It's a terrible idea. Just don't do it.
Go over well.
But those were the better things I had to do. And I also had a lot of family commitments and obligations, and there were a lot of
Stuff.
yeah, a lot of health issues, so there are a lot of hospitals and things. But
Day one, senior
I
year.
walk in, and I didn't know first day of senior year of high school was like, you show up. I just showed up. So I had like a white tank top on, like pair of jeans I'd worn like every single day that summer because I was working like 2 jobs. And I just showed up. I was like, hey guys, what's up? And they're like, you wore that to the first day of school? And I was like, yeah, it's white. Like, that's
It's
cool.
after Labor Day, right? I can wear this now?
No, I was like,
how's it
look,
go?
there's no spots on it. I haven't eaten anything today yet, so we're good. But, like, it's actually white. Like, it's not, like, yellow in some
Right.
places and has ketchup on the front. And they're like, oh, well, you know, you should put a little more effort into, like, how you're going to show up. Because the first day is, like, who you are for the rest of senior year. And I was like, that's funny. It was, like, a thing. I was like, all right, well, good luck with that. And I just remember, like I had no thought. Like, I literally rolled out of bed. I think I was late.
Right.
I was late so often in high school.
What do I
though.
wear? Where are the clean clothes?
They started giving me absences in high school because I was
Right.
late that much. Yeah, they said I couldn't graduate if I missed any more minutes. Like, I don't even know who my homeroom teacher was for the last 2 years of high school. And even like my locker, I don't know. I still have nightmares about not returning textbooks because I didn't know what happened to them.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was really weird. I had one of those last night. I was like, wait, no, I have a college degree and a career. And what?
I don't need to be worried about textbooks.
Have this textbook, yeah. But, you know, the idea is always just show up.
Okay.
Like, you know, my dad was a force. Like, he was a military guy. He was well-traveled. He spoke multiple languages. He was educated, ambitious, immigrant mentality, Vietnam vet. Like, the guy was just a force from what I knew about him.
Yeah.
And he never, it's not that he didn't take no for an answer, but he just showed up. And he always said, like, well, he didn't say this, but it was basically what he gave off was like, if you give someone something, they're going to take it.
Right.
And not saying that that's the best way to go through life, but if you give someone a reason to think you're not good enough, they're going to treat you like that.
Right.
If you act like a victim, they'll treat you like a victim.
Right. Now, here's my whole point, though, Teresa.
You
Like,
know?
I know all this.
Yeah.
But yet, and that's really the point of this, why this text came up. So then why, if I know all this, I agree with this, I believe this, you know, so then why am I physically anxious anyway? Or why am I nervous anyway? Why do I, why am I out of control?
There are these things called concepts, and like you understand it. Like, I understand that E equals MC squared.
Right.
I don't know how to do that. Like, you know, you can understand a
I don't know how you can
concept,
square M.
but internalizing it, like, you know,
Yeah.
there's a difference.
But but your response was, so just show up.
Yeah.
And I feel like, okay, I was doing that. In fact, more than that, I was showing up intentionally.
Do less.
And yet I'm still having that reaction.
Maybe a do less mentality.
Yeah. Or just even, maybe I feel like exposure is a good opportunity as well. I
Sure.
don't know how to do that. I don't know how I'm going to put myself in some other situations, but I'm a little bit excited about it now.
Maybe we should come up with like a challenge. I was
Like-
just talking to someone about possibly getting on a stage and talking to a really big audience.
That would definitely put me in that situation. But I'd be excited. I mean, like, and that's the weird thing. Like, I
It
love
would
doing it.
definitely make me get not just tremors, maybe
Yeah, like I'm
seizures.
excited to do that stuff. Like I like being with people. I like
Yeah.
sharing. But then I physically get there, and like all of a sudden I'm awkward.
Awkward.
Yeah.
So awkward.
So that's my mission for the next 13 weeks, Teresa.
Really?
It's one of them.
Okay.
I'm just saying it right now. So literally, I'm not even joking. Episode 26. I'll put a note
You
somewhere.
really did that math. Like, are we starting this week?
I'm just talking for myself.
Okay, it's cool.
But yeah,
Whatever works.
Or are we starting at what this week? 13 weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. surprised, Teresa. Your life's about to change.
That's it.
Because I've been like preparing myself, and people that I spend time with, like, hey, I'm about to get really focused. I'm like, oh shit, well, I don't even answer text messages or phone calls anyway, so
you know,
you can fuck off even more.
I'm even more focused.
Yeah, and like, so my boyfriend called me during work today, and he's like, do you have a couple seconds to chat? I'm like, yeah. He's like, cool, so how's your day going? And I was like,
Not about nothing.
So that's what I actually said. I was like, dude, it's between the hours of 9 and 5. Like, I have shit to do. You're wonderful, and I love you very, very much. But I have to go, like, now.
Right.
Like,
text me this stuff.
Yeah,
I'll tell you how
I'm
I'm doing when I'm in the bathroom.
Focused, man. And then I was just like, okay, cool, whatever. And now I'm like thinking, like, yeah, I'm about to get a little bit more focused.
Well, he listens to this. He'll know.
Hey.
Hey, buddy.
Okay.
All right.
So,
Well, anywho.
so anywhoozicals, 13 weeks. So getting rid of nervousness.
So
That's a
26
huge
weeks.
one.
That's going to be
13 weeks.
I'm going to try to expose episode 26.
13
We're gonna
weeks
check
from
back
now.
in and say, how's the exposure going?
Shit, it's happening.
You ready?
Oh my god. Okay, so that's what you got going on.
All right, we're on the 30-minute mark. We're trying to keep these to 30 minutes or less. Is there something else you want to add? You want to continue? Just throwing it out there.
I got nothing, man. I'm like freaking out a little bit.
But the 13 weeks?
Well, it's starting like this week.
Yeah.
So I know it's a little late tonight, so we might check into this on Thursday.
Yeah.
Within reason.
Yep.
In a day or two. But like, I don't know, like I'm nervous excited. Like my nervous excitement manifests itself in the form of like I have goosebumps that tell me things.
Nice. What are they telling you?
These are nervous excitement goosebumps.
Nice.
Because you know I have intuition goosebumps, and then I
That's
have,
true.
oh my gosh, that really hits home and changes something in my brain goosebumps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get those a lot. But the nervous excitement ones,
Ooh.
like I say, if I had a tail, it'd be wagging.
It'd be a wagadoodle.
It'd be wagging.
So look out, world. No more, no more nervous. No more sweaty teddies
No more sweaty teddies.
from RMS. And look out for some serious focus from Team Money and RMS as well. We appreciate you listening. Thank you for allowing me to have this curious conversation out loud. I'm not sure it was our best podcast ever, but I really appreciate you not supporting us, but listening. And, I
and
hope
supporting us.
And I hope that you listen to many more. Musical person of the day. Remember we talked about last week?
We did.
You did Band of Horses.
And their whole album, Everything All at Once, I think it's 33 minutes long, or 32 minutes and a couple seconds.
Cool.
So, what do you got?
I think today I'm just going to go outside the box and throw out Regina Spektor.
Big fan.
Big fan.
Ooh.
I think she's Russian. Piano vocalist.
Yeah. And
Really kind of has her own style.
very eclectic.
I would really, it's fun music. It's interesting. And it's often beautiful and melodic.
Can I throw out a specific song, or do you have
Please,
one in
no,
mind?
go ahead.
So, Samson
Yep.
was a song that it's
Passionate, right? You
Very-
can really feel in her voice, like you can really feel
I
the
get
passion.
these are
These
chills.
are, what kind of goosebumps are these?
I have them on my legs,
Yeah.
and my arms right now. I don't know. They're like, that was a poignant time in life when I would listen to that song a lot. So Samson, that was a good one. Regina
we go.
Spektor. Good
Have it.
pick.
Own it. Thank you very much. We love you. She's Teresa Rezga.
He's Ryan Stanley,
And we
not Sweaty Teddy.
Not Sweaty Teddy. We'll see you on the flip side.